Okay, so first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And just to give you a quick introduction about who we are, today we have a kind of a very funny story to tell. So first of all, we are the football club. My name is Ante, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of TFC, which is the football club. And today we have a great topic to talk about, so not to talk too much about our product, just to give you a quick glimpse about TFC. So we started this project 2 years ago, and basically what we are building is the metaverse of football fandom, which means that we want to become the epicenter of football, everything all about football community, football fandom, football culture, and the football lifestyle. And in the end, what we build is a fantasy football manager-based metaverse where you can create your personal avatar. So what means that you're not just a profile name or a profile image, so it's all about your personality and to express your identity in front of others. And based on your avatar, you can buy different types of items to equip your avatar, and all these items are based on an NFT system. And we build a gamification system, we build a native application, we built also a marketplace. We launched a marketplace 6 weeks ago, pretty successfully so far. And now we have a pretty good user base of more than 30,000 users. But nevertheless, we don't want to talk too much about TFC. Today's topic is just to give you maybe a little different perspective and why we use this kind of clickbait, how to successfully ruin your NFT project. And why we choose this topic is to have a different perspective. So sometimes it's better to know what I don't know than to know what I know. So we always say, and that's also the motto of this conference here, is do your own research, which means, first of all, we failed sometimes in building our product, to see this kind of perspective, and also what we faced while building the product, what others did so far. And we want to start with the very first one is, to ruin your NFT project, be focused and sell emotions and don't sell any kind of utility. So what we faced over the time was, a lot of projects going on the market, selling beautiful images, selling very fancy animations, telling a lot of emotional stories to everybody, and then everything stops. So nobody was like really into, okay, what's the actual reason of existing of NFTs? What is the right utility? Why should people buy NFTs? Why should they sell NFTs? What is the kind of ecosystem and the value chain system around NFTs? We saw some coming big and huge projects with a lot of good IPs, and somehow they failed. The second thing to ruin your NFT project is build upon followers and don't build on communities. What we want to say by that is what we are also facing to launch a NFT project. Everybody's doing the same thing to become a little bit more impressive to your audience is to have like very high numbers on followers on Twitter, on Discord, and so on and so forth. The risk there we saw is that there is the risk that people get disappointed. So they're following you on Twitter, you have 20K of followers, but there is no engagement. There is no interaction. So what is actually the ratio in between followers and the interaction rate of your posts you're having on Twitter? Also, if you're joining on Discord, is, there are some impressive numbers. You go into some NFT projects and there are 200,000 followers, but then you see, that there is a very, very low interaction. So to create a product with a high interaction and with a high engagement, it's more about focusing on the community and not just having very high numbers. Then, promises before product. Also, this was something we faced in the last 2 years, that so there shouldn't be like to don't have a vision. It's very important to have the vision and to sell the vision. But sometimes, people are putting their eggs in one bucket by, just launching cool new PFP projects, a better looking CryptoPunks, a cooler and emotional story than Artifact does. And so they're launching all their project and have this kind of hope, to create a buzz around the project. It's heavy to achieve that. So they're promising a lot. There's a lot of investments going on, and then in the end, sometimes it happens that the sales are not going so well. Nevertheless, and also the hope, raising money by launching these kind of PFPs and some other ideas to finance also their product, people are sometimes underestimate how hard it is to build a digital product, especially now in the Web3 market, which is in a very, very early stage. Build for nerds and build for the rich. So everybody now, we are going into the Web3 space. We are all kind of nerds in that space. We understand everything. But the most important part we saw so far is that the Web3 community is building for the Web3 community. But the Web3 community is very, 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 very small if you compare it to the Web2 community. So our goal should it be somehow to, to educate Web2 people, bringing them into the Web3 space on a very convenient and approachable way. And then there is the other part about, to fail your NFT project, build for the rich. Because now we have this kind of blue chip products, Bored Ape Yacht Club, Artifact, and so on and so forth. Whereas, the big money going on. And somehow we have, or had the feeling that people are just, building it to make the, dropping an NFT, making the big money, and, we will focus on the, we call them crypto billionaires. So it's very hard, first of all, to find these people, to convince these people, so it's not very promising. Then, and the last topic of how to ruin your NFT project is, now that's the biggest trend we are hearing so far, is all about money can't buy experiences. Let's give our NFTs utility. What kind of utility we can give them? Let's create a cool party, and you can enter the party only with the NFT. What is very interesting with this money can't buy experiences is everybody's talking about money can't buy experiences, but you have to buy the NFTs to enable this kind of experience, so which is a little bit confusing in itself. And not just, why we're talking about this topic, because this is now currently the thing, let's launch cool NFTs and we will give them utility, and then we can create something money can buy, which is actually also a trend and a hype. It's good to have, but it's not the only solution. So maybe to summarize and to change the perspective, to give you some takeaways of what we experienced from the last 2 years. It's a crazy dynamic market. Every day something different happens on the market. You always have to adapt. It's very, very hard to keep track on everything. So what we faced is that utility in a coherent ecosystem wins or will win. So from that perspective, it is absolutely, or should be absolutely important that creating a value chain ecosystem around the NFT is very, very important, to give the users a reason why they should buy, to give them the reason why they should trade, what is the actual value of why I should trade an NFT, and then, of course, why I should buy something for a higher price than the seller bought it. Quality instead of quantity. So that's also the different perspective is, building up followers, it's very easy and it's very cheap. As I mentioned before, the substance, if you follow somebody with a lot of amounts of followers on Twitter or Discord, and then see no interaction, that leads to this disappointment. So it's very important to focus on a community and how to build a community, what to give the community to engage with your product, with your brand, giveaways, and so on and so forth, to keep them always in the loop. And then there is no bigger leverage in marketing actually than to have a very strong community who loves your product. Build product before promises, so that was actually our goal. How we proceed so far is that we are one of the very few products out there having already a working product, and so it's more convincing to the user because you give them something they can rely on. Build for 5 years old. This was from that perspective, building for the nerds and building for the rich is, build for people who don't understand what Web3 is, to onboard them, and then you have this very huge and big audience, which is called the mainstream. And then don't trust, and then don't trust the hype. Don't trust the hype means, what I mentioned is, the market is very dynamic, the technology itself is extremely dynamic. Watch out for the hypes. Ask, do I need it? Is it right for my ecosystem? Is it right for my product? Question is a lot of times, and then, if it's good, adapt it. And the last part is Dior, which means always do your own research. Thank you very much. Questions?
Hi.
Hi.
From an artist's perspective, what would be the best utility for an NFT collection of
your art?
Like if it's physical art, then add physical art to the NFT. That's what you mean, or?
Sorry, I didn't understand it.
If it's physical art, for example, a painter, he turns that painting into an NFT, and when someone buys it, he sends the physical art as an utility, or that's what you meant, or?
Well, so you mean art as a physical, like an installation or something, and then to buy an NFT of that? Well, that's a very tricky question. So the best utility is, that you can kind of, so to be straight and direct, I don't know if that makes seriously sense, right? So you can share somehow the ownership of this very specific item, but it's a very good question. What is the utility behind it to own that? So is it a contract that I'm a owner of a part of that piece? Yes, maybe, but this is where I would question it. Does it really make sense to have an NFT of that? Why should I have it?
Okay.
Hey.
Hey.
What? So what were the parts that you were most focused on when you were building the community for, let's say, for the football club?
Yeah. So the most important thing is, as I mentioned, building up engagement and interaction. Now, this is the big question. How do you do that? So first of all, everybody is present on Discord and on Twitter. All of the team is there to have their high engagement, so also to have kind of a moderation inside of the community. Then the other part is not to commercialize everything, which means that at some point you have to give something back to the community. So to have kind of pretty creative idea to make forms of airdrops, for example, which you're not commercializing, right? So it's not about to make more money, it's just to give the users something they want to have inside of your ecosystem. And this could be seriously different kind of ideas. So maybe to take a TFC example here, the football club example. So we're working together with Eintracht Frankfurt, who won the European League lastly. And when they won against Barcelona, it was half finals. No, quarterfinals actually, exact quarterfinals. And there was this, I don't know, halftime, and they've been 2-0 in front of Barcelona, so they've been qualified, you know, for the next round, for the halftime. And then the team decided at that moment, okay, let's create a shirt for that moment, and we sat together, and in between 2 hours of designing a 3D object, mint it and airdrop it. It just took two hours, and then we airdropped it, for example, to our whole community who are owning Eintracht Frankfurt items. Right? So this is kind of a surprise. And then what happens is you're creating a hype inside of the community, which is insane, and you can't pay it. It's impossible. And very classic, giveaways, it works. Yeah. No more questions? Thank you very much.